Welcome back to another SCBWI featured illustrator interview. My name is Tamika Grooms, and I'm the Design and Illustration Manager for SCBWI. Every month, we select an Illustrator member to spotlight on the SCBWI website and social media pages to highlight the work that they're doing in children's illustration. This month's featured illustrator is Juanita Londoño. Juanita, thank you so much for joining us here today and for making your submission to the Featured Illustrator program. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm really excited to be featured this month. It's really exciting.
Yeah. I really love your work. We had quite a few submissions, and your work really stood out to me partially because of the magical realism that you talked about in your Domestica course. I really saw that was vibrating through on the images, and so it drew me into the images, and that's why we selected you for the featured illustrator. So, but before we get into all of that, I want to make sure that we get a chance to actually get to know you. How did you become interested in illustration in general?
Well, it's been a crazy ride because I actually started studying engineering. And then I realized that I missed drawing a lot because it was always a part of me and like my childhood. And I kept it on the side, but I realized that I was losing that part of me. And I was like, wait, what am I doing? So I decided to stop that. And then I was kind of scared because I had already been studying for 2 years engineering. So I was like, I can't make a mistake again. And I remember that I did a lot of like fashion figurines as a kid. So I decided to go on and study fashion design. But then I realized that what I loved about those figurines wasn't the fashion part of it, but actually the drawing part of it. So my last year of fashion design, I did an exchange program and I went to study animation concept art in Vancouver Film School. And that kind of drew me into the world of digital illustration. And then I decided to pursue children's books because kind of like a full circle moment to why I loved drawing, which was like my parents always read me bedtime stories. So it kind of like went back to that. And I'm so happy that it happened that way, but it was like a weird way to get to it.
So I completely understand that. I had a long kind of journey like that as well. Tell me first about what was your favorite children's book growing up?
It's actually a story about, it's like a series of books, but I don't think it's in Spanish. And it's about this lovely story about a girl who really loves her like nanny, like this woman, an old woman she goes to in the afternoons when her mom is working. And so this woman kind of takes care of her. And they start talking about like this doll that she used to have. And so she becomes obsessed with this. And when it's the woman's birthday, she decides to save up to get her a doll, but she doesn't have enough money. And she manages to find this like broken doll, and she kind of paints her hair and fixes the dress and like gives it to this woman. And she's so happy. And when I still read it, I cry again. It's really, really moving, but that's like one of the stories that I remember the most as a kid. I actually still have that book.
It's funny, the ones that we remember are the ones that really touch our hearts. So So yeah, I totally understand that. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what inspires your work now.
Well, part of it is the magical realism. What I love to read most is like magical realism novels. So part of what I discuss in my course is like Isabel Allende or Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Gabriel Garcia Marquez being like Colombian. And I think that's part of the way he writes, because our country is sort of filled with magical realism without like you feel it in every part of people, the culture, nature, especially nature. And I think that's what is most relevant in my illustrations, the vibrancy of the colors and the different textures. And that's what I think I try to bring on. And sometimes I even include without realizing, because it's part of what surrounds me every day. And I grew up in a small, not farm, but an outside, like a house far from the city. My dad still lives there, and it's like surrounded by mountains and by nature. So that's like part of me, and I think that's what I try to put into my work.
Mm. So I would imagine that all of that gets fed into how you tell stories visually. Or do you write as well?
Well, right now I actually just finished a picture book dummy with a story that is kind of like a story that my mom told me as a kid, but I transformed it a bit, and I literally just finished writing and doing the dummy and doing everything yesterday, and I hope to start like showing it to agents or to editors, and hopefully we'll see it published in a few years from today.
Wow, that's really exciting. Good luck on that, and I'm sure it will be just all a matter of time. So we have your website here, and the colors. So this is actually the piece that you submitted, this first one.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved it. But when I started looking at all the other pieces that you have on your website, I was like, wow, we have so much to choose from. And again, to the point that what you were saying about magical realism, I can see that you're bringing in elements that are magical
Mm-hmm.
with the realistic part, mixed with culture and whimsy. And so I really appreciated that in all of the pieces that I saw, but also there's some contemporary city pieces as well. But you're really giving us some full-fleshed environments and characters to kind of digest with our eyes. So I really appreciated your work, and I can see so many different types of stories that come through. Like even this one, how often do you see a scene like this? It's unusual, but it draws you in because it makes you want to ask, like, what is this story about that's around this image? But there's so much here, and I hope that people go to your website to check it out. Also, you also have courses on here. So I'd like for you to talk a little bit about your different streams of income. So I'll just share this very briefly. So cool. Talk to us about the different streams of income that you have developed as an illustrator. I know you do some different things. This Domestica website and course actually stood out to me. So I'm really looking forward to learning more about it. But tell us a little bit more.
Well, I actually am able to work only as an illustrator right now. Another income stream is the Domestica course, and I take like small commissions, but locally, like in Colombia. What is really like fortunate for me is that because of the exchange, I'm able to not take as many like projects, and I'm able to handle like a normal income with the projects that come in, and not have to take extra work or work on other stuff. So I'm really fortunate in that sense. But yeah, mostly it's just illustration.
And you do surface design as well?
Yes, that's part of the commissions that I do, as because I'm a fashion designer as well. I graduated from that career, so I also do like pattern designs and like surface designs for fashion companies, projects, different projects that they have here for clothing, for bags, for hats, and yeah.
Okay. Well, the reason why I asked this question is that I strongly feel that it's important for illustrators to have multiple streams of income, whatever that is for you. And it's different from different people. But I always like to ask that question to see, what other artists are doing as well. So tell us a little bit about your art process too. And when hopefully they'll sign up for your Domestica course and they'll learn more about that. But if you want to share a little bit here.
Yeah, I think that what is very evident with my course is my background as a concept designer, like a concept artist, because I learned to illustrate in that way. So a lot of what is in the course is implemented in certain ways, not always, because I've learned that to include certain parts or take certain parts out depending on what I'm working on. But usually I do like a small thumbnail sketch, and then I try to incorporate the grayscales to understand what I need to draw the eye most to in the illustration. Then I do a few color sketches to see what color palette works best depending on the story I want to tell. And then I move on to making sure the sketch is working and going into the details, and then I go to full color.
I have people that ask me all the time about courses, so I would definitely recommend yours. It sounds like it's a really good way to get started. And you mostly do digital illustration.
Yes. I do like gouache paintings for fun, but I wish I was better at it. Like I just do it to play and let myself be creative, but all my professional work is done using Procreate.
Gotcha. Okay, so you have a few children's books on the market.
Yeah, I have a few books that are coming out, and I'm working on a couple of books that like I'm so excited about them, but I'm not sure if I can say
I got you.
anything about them.
Don't get in trouble.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can even say like the name or anything, so I apologize, but I don't want to get myself into trouble. But there's a book called Health Heroes by Simon and Schuster that is like a story about all the nurses and all the medical people in the field. It came out during COVID, and it was to kind of give them like the place they deserve and talk about how important their role is for the community. So it's like a book that talks about different heroes in the medical field. And I have two books out that I'm not sure, they were still in pre-order not long ago, so I'm not sure if they're already available for purchase, but they're these beautiful like animal and plant books. And yeah, those are the ones that I have. And I have a few about Misty Copeland and about Selena as well, to kind of also talk about their journeys, their lives, the way they lived, and interesting facts about them.
Very exciting. I can't wait to check out your books. I'm buying books all the time, so I will add yours to my shelf.
Thank you.
Tell us why you joined SCBWI.
Well, I wanted to be part of a community, and I think that after like researching, I figured out that this was the best place, especially if you're a children's book illustrator, because I looked around and there's a lot of spaces for illustrators in general, but because this is the thing that I want to pursue, like mainly, I wanted to be surrounded by different people and courses and information that is relevant to my career. So I recently joined, and I right away wanted to be a part of as much as I could. So I submitted my portfolio and hope like we're here. So I'm very thankful that it happened this way.
That's amazing. I always encourage people to apply to whatever it is that you want, whether it's SCBWI stuff or anything, because those who don't apply don't get the opportunity. You have to put yourself out there. So kudos to you to making that step. And we're glad to have you in our community.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be part of it as well.
Yeah. So before we go, I really want people to check out your website, but let them know where they can learn more about your work.
Definitely my website, JuanitaLondoño.com. And also both my Twitter and Instagram handles are Juanita Londoño, but instead of the N with the thingy at the end, it's an 8. And definitely check out my domestic course.
Absolutely. Well, Juanita, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate everything that you shared. I can't wait to get into the course myself, and welcome again to our community. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the interview and for having me. I'm so happy to be a part of the website and this month's feature.